Our next speaker is Commander L.R. Prakash. He is Director C-DAC Chennai. He has done his BTech in Electrical Engineering, Naval College of Engineering, Lonavala, and MTech in Microwave Signals and Systems from IIT Kharagpur.
I'm sorry, but what I was and what I did for 20 years is, I think, of very less relevance at this point in time. And I'm sure that you have had an excellent lunch. I'm Director C-DAC Chennai. And I'm actually grateful to some of the earlier speakers, especially Mr. Srinivasan from eMudra, because he's practically covered everything that I will be speaking on. I'll just add a couple of details and be happy to answer questions if any. When it comes to online citizen-centric services, the banks are probably in the BFSI sector as such was probably in the lead, taking net banking, and as compared to say other areas of e-governance, we have had the banks actually leading the way in many ways, bringing transaction online. As all of you are aware, security and legal aspects are what are primarily on everybody's mind. But without a customer's digital signature, bringing these services online has actually been limited. This is a standard diagram used to show how PKI works. What I would like to draw your attention to is this circled part. That is, the user needs a digital signature. This actually begins the downfall of translating technology into implementation. I don't want to sound condescending, but since morning we have been hearing, it's been there for 10 years, there are 13 million signatures issued, but yet we are not happy with the penetration. That should send a message to you that perhaps that paradigm is not exactly working. You need to look beyond the conventional user needs to have a digital signature system in order to increase the penetration. PKI is, a lot of it is implementation, a lot of it is regulatory aspects, the core technology behind it is fairly known. A usable PKI system is actually the intersection of all the three. Now, if you see the registration and certification chain, where it starts from an applicant having a hardware module, generating key pair, registering, getting verified. The diagram looks messy because the process is messy. It is not actually suited to scaling up to a customer-centric means of operation. It may be where you're a businessman, you're a banker and you have to use it. Yes, you use it as part of your work process. But if you're a customer, you're not going to be very happy with this kind of mess. The e-sign basically is a means for users to digitally sign documents without registering for a digital signature certificate. The e-Hastakshar initiative, which is the C-DAC implementation, it enables anybody with a valid Aadhaar ID and a mobile number or a biometric if the reader is there to digitally sign documents online. The regulatory framework for this has been laid down, and under it C-DAC plays the role of a CA. The architecture is like this. There is a web interface which is the application which the user sees. There is a e-sign interface, and at the back end there is a e-sign service provider. The UIDI, that is the Aadhaar authentication, is what actually provides the key in the process. The web interface sends a request for signing something. The e-sign interface checks whether it's a valid request, what is the document to be signed, the security formalities. It gets the Aadhaar authentication, and the e-sign service provider generates an instant key pair, signs it, countersigns it, and hands it back, which means that ephemerally you have a digital signature certificate for yourself without having ever registered for it. On the other hand, this signature has been given to you not by a hub and spoke model or diluted trust, it has been given to you on a trusted model as strong as that of the Aadhaar. The architecture more technically, I think it's been covered earlier, and therefore I'll gloss over it. The Aadhaar eKYC services are the key backend. The certifying authorities, eMudra is one, I think Encode he said was under, C-DAC is one, and the e-sign service providers are the one which are the interface between a corporate user like a bank and the e-sign and the certifying authorities. The e-sign workflow is like this: you use your biometrics or you use an OTP, you have an online request for a digital signature. It goes to the UIDAI background, gets back verification, and once that verification is done, the e-sign service provider gives you back a digital signature and a signed document. Without e-sign, a subscriber will be going to a certifying authority for a DSC through an RA. There is a key generation process, there is safe custody of the token or smart card. The PKI has manual verification of credentials as part of its process. Issuing and communicating the DSC is its own process. This constrains mass adoption and integration with online services. With the e-sign, you have a legal validity for authentication and eKYC using Aadhaar. It, as has been brought out, it can enable complete automation of your processes with digital signatures. Potential applications, these actually need to come from the BFSI sector. I believe there is a lot of interest in it, but this actually, the actual answer what all can be done is every piece of paper that is signed presently can be replaced with an e-sign process. I will come back to this later. As I said, because most of what has been covered earlier, I will save the organizers some time. The way ahead, if you wish to engage with us, C-DAC has presently 3 agencies including NIC which are at the, who are preparing to go live as ASPs associated with C-DAC. There are 30 odd other agencies which are engaging at multiple levels, exploring it or undergoing the process of becoming an ASP, etc. Key personnel DG C-DAC is Dr. Rajat Muna. Dr. Darbari C-DAC Pune is the Chief Investigator of the e-sign project. I am Director C-DAC Chennai. We hold the DR site and are partners in it. Dr. Subramaniam at corporate office is dealing with empanelment of ASPs. These challenges have come from, there was a PKI forum session yesterday, some of these were brought out by Mr. Srinivasan. These are some of the challenges which have come up in that forum yesterday. As I was flying early this morning, I got this mail and I was looking at it. They are all actually very valid complaints, but they are all actually procedural hurdles which can and actually should have been worked out by now if there had been sufficient initiative. And that brought me to the actual question. The actual question is, the Aadhaar is such a powerful tool and the e-sign is an amazing application, probably unique, one of its kind. However, it hasn't actually caught on fire. It hasn't caught either the public imagination or there is no major corporate shift towards it for citizen-centric services. There is no governmental shift towards it for e-governance. And why is that? What is the actual problem that we are missing? And to me, it's as a coincidence, I just received another message and it seemed to gel with me, because it says that probably the questions that you're asking are wrong. If these are the questions that you're asking, that this is what is preventing me from adopting e-sign, they are the wrong sort of questions, because these are all questions of how to do this. What you're not answering is the why. The why has to come from the BFSI sector. You have today a conventional banking system, a conventional financial system. Ask yourself if this conventional system addresses the billion at the bottom of the pyramid, the migrant laborer who shifts today for cropping and tomorrow back to construction labor in Delhi. Does it address the millennial who doesn't want to go stand in a bank and have bank account, he prefers Paytm and mobile wallets? Do you address either of these ends of the spectrum? You actually don't. And that is why we are not actually seeing e-sign gather that traction. The day you start asking yourself these questions, that is when the e-sign will actually gain traction. And this was the quote that came to me in the morning, and I found it very apt for this occasion, that a paradigm shift occurs when a question is asked from inside the current paradigm that can only be answered from outside of it. If today you are sitting in a conventional system and you ask yourselves, how am I going to address these millennials? How am I going to address the farmer who gets payment and is instantly distributing off for seeds, etc.? He gets money for around 3 months a year. You can't expect him to hold a bank account for the rest of the year. How are you addressing those needs? How are you addressing migrant people? The day you start asking yourselves those questions, you will realize that they cannot be answered within the confines of your conventional workflows and processes. And I firmly believe that the e-sign will help you address those questions once you start asking them. Thank you.